Myra Kess gripped the edge of her control console as the station shuddered. The interior lights flickered, then steadied with that faint blue tint she'd come to associate with power fluctuations. Around her, the observation deck was alive with the agitated hum of her science team. "Report," Myra barked, urgency threading her voice. Her dark hair was damp with sweat, stuck to her brow. Jalen Omu, Navigator and the closest thing Myra had to family out here, ducked under a sparking holoprojector. The rift's pulse just doubled. The Nexus is acting up, again. Outside, beyond reinforced glass, the Nexus glowed like a bruise across space-time. Kaleidoscopic bands of gold and violet swirling above the tattooed surface of the gas giant Nereid. Every few seconds, the light warped, revealing fractured echoes of other worlds, glimpsed but never touched. "Stabilize the feeds," Myra ordered. Her hands trembled. She masked it by gripping the console tighter. Kyla Reeves, the youngest engineer, was pale but resolute as she tapped commands into her wristpad. "It's fighting us, Dr. Kess. The stream keeps shifting, like it's aware of us." Jalen shot her a glance. "We can't keep running these scans. Not safely. Last time we lost half the sensor grid to a phantom energy spike." Myra met his gaze, fierce defiance burning in her tired eyes. Every major leap forward looked impossible, right until it worked. "We have one shot at mapping this cascade. We take it." He hesitated, then nodded. "Ready for the final sync? But if this goes bad..." The station rocked again. Alarms screamed. Outside, the Nexus twisted, its core blooming into impossible shapes and timelines flickering across its surface, cities burning, alien skies, unrecognizable faces staring back at them. "Myra, it's not just observation anymore," Kyla whispered. "The Nexus, it's trying to reach through." A surge of power hurled them from their feet. Consoles exploded in sparks. From the observation port, a figure materialized, half-formed, crackling with energy, a version of Myra herself, eyes wide with desperate warning. "Seal the breach!" The echo Myra screamed, voice overlapping reality like a badly tuned channel. "You're out of time!" The deck fractured beneath Myra. She clawed her way toward the console, determination overriding terror. "Everyone, initiate lockdown! Jalen with me!" As the timelines began to blend and bleed into their station, impossible futures colliding with their present, Myra knew one thing. They'd torn open more than they could ever hope to understand. Suspense hung thick. The next move could decide the fate of every reality in existence. The Nexus's energy surge pulsed through the station, lights sparking butterflies of shadow across Myra's vision as she slammed her palm onto the emergency control. A lockdown siren wailed, low, almost mournful. "You heard her," Myra shouted, voice raw. "Manual overrides now." Jalen scrambled beside her, bruised but focused. Override relays engaged, bulkheads closing. But the containment field's destabilizing, timelines are leaking? That's not possible. Across the deck, Kyla's holographic interface glitched, flickering between alternate readouts, some in unfamiliar alphabets. Kyla's jaw clenched. "The Nexus is rewriting local spacetime. I'm seeing 3 sets of station schematics, none of them ours." Suddenly, a nearby archway warped, a rippling haze filled with heat and the taste of ozone. Through it staggered a limping man, wild-eyed, bruised, carrying a burnt-out fusion pistol. He looked exactly like Jalen. Myra froze. "Jalen, do you—" The alternate Jalen, let's call him Myra, locked eyes with her, panic carving lines into his face. "You have to listen. There's no time. They're coming. The breach opened the way for them." "Myra!" Kyla shrieked as a console spat a shower of sparks. Jalen, the one she knew, moved to help his alternate. "Who are they?" Mirror Jalen was breathing hard, battered by something far worse than physics. "Entities. Not people. Not like us. I tried. Sealed 5 rifts. Still not enough. Your anomaly's a beacon." Myra processed this in a heartbeat. "Talk to me. What did you see?" Mirror firmed his jaw. "I watched my crew get rewritten. Old memories, new bodies. Pieces of old timelines trying to fit where they don't belong." Kyla stared at the rippling archway, fear giving her voice an edge. "Every time that thing pulses, the universes blend further. If we don't do something, we'll be overwritten too." Outside, the Nexus flared, throwing prismatic shadows across their faces. Grotesque shapes appeared, flickered out. Myra squared her shoulders. "We built the quantum navigator for exploration, but right now, we use it for containment. Logic says we can cage the rift matrix, at least for now." Jalen's voice trembled but was steady. "That's rolling dice with the future, Myra." Mirror Jalen leaned close, eyes full of warning. Do it, or there won't be a future for any of us. The deck vibrated. Unfamiliar footsteps echoed, as if from two realities at once. Myra met her team's eyes. We're under attack by time itself, and we're not going down without a fight. In the growing storm of reality tearing at the seams, Myra felt the first coil of resolve. If humanity was the underdog, then this was the moment to prove what that truly meant. The control deck felt twice as small now, filled with overlapping shadows and all the pressure of a world on the brink. Myra tightened her gloves, eyes darting over the station's command interface. The quantum field was barely stable, a heartbeat away from tearing everything apart. Kyla's screen split into kaleidoscopic confusion, multiple timelines feeding her partial commands. I'm reading code I've never written. Some of these protocols look ancient, Myra. Some are decades ahead of us. Jalen spun, his practiced movements crisp despite the exhaustion haunting his face. What's your containment protocol? Myra answered, voice even. The Navigator can emit an inverse temporal pulse. If we align its frequency with the Nexus, we might fence the streams in. Jalen hesitated, fingers hovering over controls. That's a colossal gamble. Miss the frequency and we might invert causality, erase everything. The walls shuddered as another pulse rolled through the station. Out in the corridor, a shrill, chittering sound echoed, a sound not meant for human ears. Kyla flinched. That's not just timeline noise, is it? Jalen's jaw tightened. Stay close. In my world, those things hunt the breach points. They're as much rift as shadow. Move together. Trust nothing you hear that you wouldn't normally. From the far corners, the lights flickered and resolved into a human silhouette. Another, impossibly Jalen. This one's hair was white with stress, older eyes haunted. He spoke in a low rasp. Thought you could shut it down, Kess? You're not thinking big enough. Kyla looked stunned between the two Jalens. How many versions of us are there out here? More than you want to meet, Myra whispered. Myra pushed past the confusion, steel in her voice. We don't have time for questions. Kyla locked the command deck. Jalens, she gave a small, incredulous laugh. You're both with me at the Navigator. We bring the field online now. The three swept down the corridor, past glitching walls that flickered between materials. Metal one moment, living wood the next. A growling shadow flitted by, a flicker gone before it could truly terrify. In the Quantum Navigator bay, Myra paused. For a moment she saw herself reflected, only it wasn't her face. It was older, scarred, but smiling. You won't win by fighting the rift, the Echo Myra said, words just for her. You win by remembering who you are. Don't forget that. The vision vanished. The Navigator's core spat light. Myra reached for the controls, voice breaking the stunned silence. No more running, no more waiting. We're taking the first step. All three prepared to activate the device, hoping to hold reality together by force of will and one shot in the dark. Outside, the Nexus pulsed. The first real battle for all existence had begun. The Navigator core rumbled beneath Myra's hands, lights flickering in dizzying spectrums. She looked at the two Jalens, her Jalen, determined but afraid, and Jalen, resolved and weathered by knowledge she couldn't fathom. Kyla's voice crackled over comms. Unknown entities at the hatch. They're not human, not anymore, like walking fog with teeth. Holding lockdown. Myra forced herself to breathe. Keep them out, Kyla, buy us every second. Kyla hesitated, then squared her shoulders on the translucent screen. I'll hold. Just tell me we've got a plan. Inside the bay, the older Jalen leaned close, adjusting arrays with hands that shook from too many battles lost. Pulse needs to be in phase with the rift. Even a microsecond off will lose half these timelines. Never get them back. No pressure, Jalen muttered, his hands flying over the panel beside the core. Navigator sync ready in 30. You hear that, Kyla? Loud and clear, she breathed, voice tight but unbroken. Myra fought the urge to count heartbeats. 3 Jalens at one panel. That's either the start of a joke or the end of the world. The older Jalen flashed a grim smile. Depends on which punchline you want. Suddenly, the bay doors hammered with force from something outside reality. Jalen's face went pale. They're here. Shadows that learn to hunt people. Myra's finger hovered above the initiate button. Jalen's. Set the pulse. I'll trigger. The building pressure outside was almost physical now. The shadowy creatures pounded as echoes of their own names drifted in and out. Memories meant to manipulate. Kyla's words cut through the madness over comms. I won't let us be erased, Myra. Jalen called out, "Frequency locked, ready when you are." She pushed the button. A blinding lance of quantum energy ripped through the Nexus, a shockwave that stabilized and froze the monsters at the door, holding their forms in half-existence. For a moment, time froze. Then, reality snapped back. Station was quiet, the pounding on the door gone. Kyla's breath broke over the comm. Did we do it? But outside, the Nexus twisted with new fury, flickering through even stranger visions. Scenes of their own possible deaths, of shelters burning, of stars winking out. Myra clenched her fists. We bought ourselves time, not victory. The older Jalen nodded. They'll try again, and next time, they'll be stronger. You saw the future, you know what's coming. Jalen's eyes met Myra's. Round one goes to humanity. For now, Myra allowed herself one precious second of hope before the next wave hit. The silence didn't last. Somewhere deep within the station, alarms restarted their banshee wail. The walls shimmered between cold metal and a tough black bark, as if the Nexus was rewriting the bones of the place one molecule at a time. Jalen pounded the console. Navigator's cooling, but the rift is adapting. It's learning us. Mirror. Jalen glared through the bay viewport, watching shadows ripple across the Nexus's surface. Every time we use the device, we teach the breach how to fight back. Kyla burst into the room, hair wild, a makeshift plasma torch gripped tight. The shadows are gone. For now. But we've got new problems. Half our decks are glitching. One corridor leads to 3 different realities at once. Crew are reporting copies of themselves. Older Jalen, paler, sweat beading, fixed Myra with a haunted stare. If we don't start restabilizing, this station will tear itself in half. Best case scenario, we're scattered across every timeline in the Nexus. Myra massaged her temples, thinking faster than she ever had. We need to synchronize anchor points. Make sure our team is the only reality inside this station. Mirror, you understand rift harmonics best. Kyla, you've got the skills to hardwire the anchor nodes. Kyla nodded. I'll splice them directly. No more flickering bridges. Jalen gave a twisted grin. We're really cobbling together a multiversal firewall. Mirror Jalen started pacing, his voice urgent and sharp. Clock's running. Every second, the Nexus opens new cracks. The longer this goes on, the more versions of us, more shadows, more chaos. Myra's determination sharpened. We anchor first, then we hunt for the breach's source and shut the Nexus for good. Suddenly, the lights dipped. A guttural voice echoed through the station's comms. Every word overlaid, old, new, and possible versions of itself speaking in chorus. You cannot outlast the tide. You are but echoes. Kyla swallowed, fear icy in her chest. That's not just the rift. Something's using it, watching us. Myra steadied her team with sheer force of will. Maybe we're echoes, but that means we can learn too, we can fight back. She looked at Jalen, saw his resolve harden. He reached for her hand, and for the first time she let herself accept comfort. We're in this together, Myra, all versions of us. As anchor nodes hummed and the walls stopped shifting, a dangerous new determination crystallized in the hearts of the Underdog humans. The next move would take them even closer to the Nexus, and the adversary that waited within. The station grew eerily steady as Kyla soldered the final anchor node by hand, the scent of scorched wiring mixing with cool, recycled air. Outside, the Nexus continued its hypnotic parade of alien landscapes and flickering stars, beautiful and monstrous at once. Jalen, still shaken from the voice on the comm, ran diagnostics with Mirror and older selves. Anchor points are holding, he said, but the rift is compressing. Fewer bridges, higher pressure. Mirror, Jalen leaned in, a touch of wild hope in his battered face. That bottleneck means if we trace the collapse, we can find the breach's origin, maybe hit the source. Kyla wiped sweat from her brow. I'll ready the mobile stabilizers. We venture closer to the core. We'll need real-time field dampening. Last thing we want is to get spliced. Suddenly, a deep, resonant hum vibrated through the metal. Myra gripped the rail, eyes narrowing. The Nexus knows we're coming. Jalen managed a crooked smile in the tense air. It can want all it likes. For once, it's our move. The group suited up in exo armor, each more battered than the last. The old Jalen pressed the team together near the lift. No splintering. If you see something out of place, a shadow, a doppelganger, call it. Don't engage. We're one team. We stay one team. They descended through the station's guts, each deck darker and more warped by the rift's pressure. Strange visions flickered, the core humming in impossible rhythms, a corridor lined with dozens of alternate Myras, some smiling, some weeping. At the containment bay before the Nexus interface, the hull rippled, half organic, half machine. The voice returned, whispering in their heads, every word an avalanche of doubt. Dreams unmade, histories erased. Why fight the storm? Kyla's hands shook as she cut through the panel. Because we're not storm riders, she spat. We're survivors. We earn our future. They pressed onward. As the team breached the interface chamber, the true heart of the Nexus glimmered, raw and unshaped, a sphere of impossible energy, pulsing with broken time. Myra stepped forward, facing the abyss with every ounce of courage she'd fought to build. We find the fault line, we end the fracture, and if it means standing against the impossible, so be it. The chamber throbbed with potential, timelines swirling with every breath. As Jalen and his alternates set their quantum stabilizers, the stakes became painfully clear. One mistake here and not only would their reality fall, but every version of themselves would be lost forever. For the first time, the human underdogs stepped into the enemy's domain. As the door sealed shut behind them, there was no room for doubt, only the next impossible battle, closer than ever before. The team marched single file through the breached chamber's twilight, every step into the Nexus core feeling like a dare against the universe. The sphere before them was mesmerizing, a twisting orb of energy that flickered with impossible possibilities. An Earth overrun by ice, another shimmering under unreal double suns, hundreds of Jalen's and Myra's watching through the storm. Older Jalen halted first, visor scanning. The breach's resonance is strongest at the sphere's base. Myra, you'll need to link the field dampener directly. No second chances. Kyla produced a navigation beacon, her voice tense but fierce. Signal tracer live. If we lose each other, light it up and I'll drag you out. I don't care which version you are. Mirror Jalen eyed the core with naked dread. We're already being targeted. The Nexus knows we're threats. See how fast those timelines cycle? A high, piercing tone drilled into the air. Myra staggered, memories slamming into her vision. Faces she'd never loved, battles she'd never fought, worlds she'd never known. For a heartbeat, she almost forgot who she was. Jalen caught her arm, steadying her. Stay with me, Myra. The rift feeds on confusion. Anchor on this. Us, together, here and now. Nothing else matters. She blinked, solidifying. Thanks, I'm all right. Fiercer, she started attaching the field dampener to the sphere base, hands guided by hope and desperation. Suddenly, from the swirling storm, a figure emerged. It was Myra, but impossibly aged, eyes black and burning with Nexus light. She stepped forward, voice distorted by 1,000 possible futures. You think you can end me? I am every failure and defeat you ever feared. I am the storm inside you. Kyla drew her torch. We're not fighting you, we're rescuing all of us. The corrupted Myra laughed, a hollow sound, echoing with pain. Rescue is for the past, the Nexus is eternal. Older Jalen stepped forward, urgency in his stance. She's a warning, Myra. There's a choice here. Give in to fear or claim your reality. Trembling, Myra reached toward her other self. I'm not here to erase anyone. I'm here to draw the line. No more realities lost. No more nightmares. The chamber trembled. For a moment, the warped Myra hesitated, the darkness flickering in her eyes. Jalen and Kyla finished their work. Dampener ready, Jalen called. But we need your decision, Myra. She stared down the echo of her own regrets, finally realizing the true fight wasn't just with the Nexus, but within herself. It was time to choose, fear or hope. And as the team braced for the sphere's answer, all realities seemed to hinge on the courage of one small, underdog crew. The chamber thundered as possibilities began to unravel. Myra faced her own corrupted echo, every instinct screaming to turn away. Yet she held her ground, jaw set, voice steady. I won't let you or the Nexus decide who I become. We anchor here. We fight for every reality worth saving. The corrupted Myra's features flickered with pain and pride. She regarded Myra with something deeper than contempt, a strange, silent plea. The darkness in her eyes softened. For a moment, her hands trembled, fracturing into a dozen possible futures, all of them losing their grip on her heart. Jalen's hand found Myra's shoulder. Whatever you choose, I'll stand with you, even if every version of me disagrees. Kyla's beacon cast weird rippling shadows onto the sphere. This is it. Pull the trigger, Myra. Don't let the past write the future. Older Jalen's voice cut through the Nexus's growing cacophony. Activate the field dampener. Do it before it resets again. With breath ragged but resolve ironclad, Myra slammed her palm onto the field control. Violet blue light shot from the device, racing across the sphere's surface. Timelines screamed and twisted, the corrupted Myra shrieking as her form bled into shards, then steadied, her features resolving into peaceful acceptance before vanishing altogether. The Nexus bucked, convulsing as if wounded. The station quaked. "We've destabilized the primary fracture," Kyla reported. "But the core's losing cohesion. If it implodes, it'll take us, and every linked timeline with it." Jalen worked his console, sweat pouring from his brow. "We have to seal it, Myra. The core's open. We only get one shot." The chamber's walls groaned, transforming with every pulse, rainforests, ocean, empty wastelands, all bleeding into one impossible place. The field dampener whined, pushing its limits. Every alternate version of Myra and Jalen flickered in and out, each fighting for their own existence. For a moment, Myra faltered, but then she remembered her own words, her refusal to surrender. She saw her team, battered but ready, still fighting. "This is what makes us human," she said. "We choose again and again, we fight together, we never give up." Every member of the team, all versions, joined hands around the core, a blaze of unity in the chaos. The Nexus's energy lashed at them, trying to pull them all apart. They held on, focusing every fiber of their being on sealing the wound. Through pain and fear, the Underdog crew pressed forward, not knowing if they could win, only that they had to try. The fate of infinite worlds flickered in the balance as they prepared for the final battle. The team's hands trembled, yet their grip didn't falter as the Nexus core blazed hotter, the sphere crackling with lightning from the fractured timelines. Myra felt every possibility pressing in, all the Myras she could have been, all the Jalens and Kylas risking everything beside her. Warning lights flared inside their helmets. Plasma arcs leapt from unstable walls as the containment field flickered. Jalen gritted his teeth, fingers bloody from the last frantic adjustments. "Stabilizer's peaking. If we don't close it now, the feedback will go hyperbolic." A keening cry split the chamber from the far wall, an impossible figure, a patchwork of all the most broken, desperate versions of themselves, clawed its way through the boiling air. Its voice rolled over them, every word a snarl of self-doubt and regret. "You don't belong here. Let the storm finish what you started." Kyla's grip tightened. "That thing's everything we're afraid to become. It's feeding on the rift." Jalen shouted above the chaos. "Myra, it's not real. The Nexus is throwing everything at us. If we give in, it wins. Take the final input. Override the breach sequence." Myra, shaking but unbroken, reached toward the core controller. Visions hammered her. Earths flooded with silence, futures abandoned, billions erased by her failure. She nearly broke, until she heard all her teammates, all versions, speaking at once. "You're not alone. You never were." With a furious scream, Myra plunged her hands inside the quantum field, direct contact overriding every safeguard. The sphere's energy surged through her, crawling up her arms like fire and ice. The monstrous echo lunged, claws made of trailing shadows. For a heartbeat, Myra looked it straight in its warped eyes and spoke, her voice steady. "You end now. We choose hope. We choose to exist." Her words struck like a flare in the dark. United with her crew, every version, every hope, she poured their will into the core. For a split second, the monster faltered, broke apart into droplets of shadow, and was consumed by light. But the sphere's structure was cracking. Alarms screamed, "Core collapse in 100 seconds." Jalen yanked a helmet off and gasped, "We've got to seal it from inside. Someone needs to stay to anchor the solution." A cold realization trickled through the group. This was the final price. Only a living mind, anchored in hope and memory, could finish closing the Nexus. Someone wouldn't make it back. The crew exchanged desperate, silent looks. Myra glanced at Jalen, at Kyla, at the brave, fractured faces around her. The answer hovered on her lips, heavy with fate. The final choice was upon them. And time was almost up. The chamber was a storm of color and sound. Timeline echoes warred overhead, but it was the quiet resolve between the battered crew that kept the chaos out. Only a minute remained to seal the Nexus from within, and it was clear to everyone what that truly meant. Myra turned to her team, her eyes clear despite the roar outside. "It has to be me. I started this. It has to end with my choice, my hope." Jalen shook his head, all the pain and love of countless lifetimes in his eyes. We'll fight another way. We can rig a remote sequence. Mirror Jalen caught his arm. No time. Every second the breach stays open, more worlds slip away. Myra's anchored deepest. It's her frequency the Nexus latched onto. Kyla's voice trembled. We can't lose you. Myra smiled, the first real smile since this nightmare began. If this works, you won't. Not really. The timelines will pull together around hope instead of fear. That's the path we choose, all of us. She turned to the coruscating core, the light tearing at her suit, every sensation agony mixed with certainty. Jalen, guide them out. Kyla, finish the stabilizer link. Mirror, keep them safe whatever way you can. Jalen's voice cracked. Myra. She met his gaze. You made me brave. All versions, all hopes. That's enough. The crew retreated toward the exit, the chamber's hull flickering between realities with every pulse. Myra stood alone, her hands on the device, every memory, pain, triumph, loss, feeding the closing sequence. Worlds folded, shook, snapped into place. The shadows howled and then faded, their power smothered by an unbreakable human will. Light rushed in from every angle as the breach sealed. Myra felt herself dissolving, not dying, but becoming something vaster. She was everywhere. A child gazing up at impossible stars, a woman laughing on a beach, a scientist staring into the unknown. She was the sum of every Myra who'd ever fought, all of them holding the line. On the other side, the crew staggered out as the station quieted. The Nexus outside was shrinking into nothingness, a wound healed by sacrifice. Kyla wept openly as systems steadied. Jalen just knelt, breathing hard, eyes full of awe and grief. Mirror, Jalen rested a weathered hand on Jalen's shoulder. She did it. If you listen, you can still hear her. Every version, every hope. On the silent calm, a final whisper lingered. Remember, you're never alone. The battered survivors looked to the stars. Above the gas giant's swirling storms, only peace now shimmered, a universe healed at last, because a handful of flawed, brave humans chose courage over chaos. And in every reality where hope lit the dark, the legend of the underdogs who saved infinity grew brighter with every passing century.